What's up, War Report family? It is Tuesday, March 7th, and we are talking SEC tournament. How far can Auburn really go in the SEC tournament this year? Brian and I are going to have some interesting thoughts on this one. But for now, let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
We are dropping in on a Tuesday morning. It's myself here with B. Will talking SEC tournament. Brian, let's jump right in here. Auburn has made the SEC tournament because every team makes the SEC tournament. But they help their seeding just a little bit. Before we take a look at the bracket, simple question. How far do we think Auburn can really go in this tournament this year?
I'm gonna try not to be a negative Nancy here.
Okay, all right.
All of the indicators say that from 10 years of sports betting says that Arkansas is going to come in here playing crazy to make the tournament because they are not in the tournament. They are playing in the SEC conference tournament like their big dance lives depend on it, because it does. So I think that's a tough game for Auburn, man. I think it's a very tough game for Auburn.
Okay.
I'm a bug a little bit. All right. I'm a bug a little bit.
All right.
I'm gonna say we win 2
games.
I'm gonna say we survive the heat from Arkansas as they play for their lives.
Okay, but that's how far you think they'll go. How far do you think? Maybe what's their ceiling in this tournament?
Ceiling? There's only 2 teams I think that could probably readily beat Auburn. I think it's Kentucky. They've hit a stride with their outside shooting that makes them pretty hard to beat, but also that's the only team that I don't want to even say they scare me. I just think they're better equipped to beat us than anybody else. We've defended everybody extremely well except for Kentucky. And it's not that we couldn't do better with the second shot, because Bruce has routinely played better multiple times after he's lost to somebody. But man, we aren't so far and away more talented than anybody to say, oh, well, we could definitely beat. Like, nothing's a guarantee. Nothing in our draw is a guarantee.
So what's the ceiling?
Best case is semifinals. That's the absolute best case. We win 2 semifinals. The worst case is Arkansas gets us day 1.
Last question before I get to my thoughts on this, and then we're going to take a look at the bracket. Did the win against Tennessee boost their chances of making it further in the tournament, or did it hurt them?
So I had to look at it. What the bracketology, the SEC tournament bracket seeding would have been. I think that was a situation where we could have possibly drawn Florida.
Okay.
That would have been the absolute best case scenario.
A lot of people were saying that. I mean, we've struggled with Florida in the regular season.
Castleton's been hurt. So they wouldn't have had the size inside to hurt us with his rebounding and inside scoring. So when they're missing a guy that's 7 foot whatever, he doesn't even have to be an all-world NBA prospect. That size alone, that length alone, especially down a body like Cardwell, I mean, it would have helped us a lot, because we wouldn't have been able to match up with him. We had trouble matching up with him when we had Kessler. Now, we definitely would have had trouble matching up with him here. So I know we won that game, but that was a very tight game that we won at the start of the season. Very close. We've beaten other teams, higher ranked teams in the conference, more easily than we beat that Florida team. So without Castleton, I like that matchup for us. And then I think that would have skipped us along to, I can't remember the potential seeding. It didn't work out that way.
Okay.
Florida as the first draw would have been fantastic. I would love that. But that's not how it went. So we can play the hand we were dealt.
Okay. Well, here's what I think.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's important to be realistic.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, and Mike G, you're being Mike G, right? I think it's quite clear that the ceiling is championship, baby. Come on, man.
There we
Listen,
are. That's what we are.
Have not like who has blown this team? This team has competed every game. Now, listen, they've been on the losing side, but they could have just as easily been on the winning side of a lot of these games. I think with a lucky draw, if somebody takes out Kentucky, if Auburn had to play Alabama again, I would like their chances. I would definitely like their chances in a third matchup. I just don't know that there's anybody that really scares. Like, listen, every game scares you if you're an Auburn fan because you know no matter how much they're favored by, they could lose.
Right.
However, they could also win those games because they almost won all of them.
Yeah.
Except for Kentucky. That's why I'm saying it's important that somebody does the Lord's and takes out Kentucky. I don't know how that's going to happen. But they're playing real good basketball right now. I talked about Kentucky. You're like, ooh, man, that's not a team you want to see right now. But I do think that the ceiling is championship if the cards fall right. Now, they need right? They also, and you know what? I'm going to say, if Wendell Green gets hot, this team definitely makes it to the semis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Wendell's scoring, if he's shooting at a high percentage, man, we can beat anybody.
If Wendell gets hot, this team is going to the semis. Book it, mark it down, right? If he's going to score 20-some points a game, Broom's going to eat. Flanny is going to be off the chain, right? Jalen is going to be Jalen, and this is going to be a surprise team in the SEC tournament. Now, what does that look like in bracket form? Well, it's the morning drop, and you're watching the War Report. So we got some graphics for you. Let's just take a look. This comes courtesy of the Southeastern Conference. Auburn will kick it off with number 10, Arkansas. So they got a 7 seed in the tournament. This game will be played Thursday at 6 p.m. Central in Nashville. B.
Yes, sir.
Auburn's already like they avoided the dreaded bottom 4 where you would have to play like 6 games or 5 games or whatever to make it. Yeah. And they're gonna get Arkansas. Let's say they beat Arkansas.
Okay.
Oh, the next draw is Texas A&M. I mean, and that's a tough draw. This is what makes my bug so hard, right? The next game will be Texas A&M, a team that has just had Auburn's number. You know, what do you think Auburn's chances would be versus? We talked about Arkansas, but against Texas A&M in this quarterfinal round.
I actually like our chances against Texas A&M because they've had our number. I thought that second game against Texas A&M showed drastic improvement, not only on a player-to-player basis, but on a strategy basis. Bruce addressed how they got us the first time. And honestly, again, that's the one game. We can always complain about refs. Sometimes it's one call. Sometimes it's many calls. That game right there, that was a ref game. That was a ref L. That they shouldn't even put that W in Texas A&M's column. That should be in the Zebras column. Mm-hmm. So I like their chances to not only re-implement that strategy, but also hopefully with less of a Texas A&M friendly whistle, because that was at home. And sometimes home whistles just affect refs, some refs more than others. I like our chances and our want for some get back in that game. I hope our guys have that one circled. This Arkansas one, I don't know. I mean, I think Bruce is going to have them ready to play every game, but the emotional edge will be with us against A&M. Will be with Arkansas. We'll have the emotional edge when we play them, though.
Okay, so is there any chance in my dream scenario that Vandy can take out Kentucky and Auburn cannot have to play Kentucky should they happen to slip by Texas A&M?
I don't think so. Vandy has been playing at their level. Vandy, they played above themselves a little bit, and then they kind of fell back a little bit.
Jerry Stackhouse won co-coach of the year.
I mean, he's a good coach, though. And they don't have a bunch of just stellar talent. So, yeah, he's a very good coach, but the limits of the talent are still there.
Okay.
Kentucky still has the better athletes top to bottom. They have more size. And lately, they've been shooting it a lot better. So, I like Kentucky in that match. There's nobody I like better than Kentucky. If you say anybody against Kentucky with how they've been playing lately, unfortunately, yeah, I'm going to say Kentucky would be it.
Well, I think there's a shot.
Okay.
Now, listen, Kentucky's playing some really good basketball, but there was a discussion about where the SEC is at this year in terms of other years. I think the middle of the conference has gotten a little bit more solid. Kentucky came back to the pack a little bit. We'll save that for another drop, but I do think there is just on an off night. Can you see? I know I'm talking in extreme hypotheticals here, B, but like. I could see Kentucky having an off night here. I don't like the Auburn versus Kentucky matchup.
Yeah.
I don't. Now, listen, let's move away from Auburn and let's just talk about the top of this bracket for a second.
All
right? Ole Miss versus South Carolina, right? Who do we like here? I like Southie.
Ooh, that's an ugly game.
I like Southie. Southie has given people some problems so far this year.
They've been playing hard. They've been playing hard. Ole Miss has been playing hard down the stretch, though. Neither one of them have been winning games, but honestly, that's a coin flip. I couldn't call. That's the toilet bowl game.
That's the toilet bowl. All right. Yeah. So let's just give it to South Carolina. Tennessee is there sitting for them, and then you got Mississippi State versus Florida at the top of the bracket. Now, Mississippi State is right now, according to projections, a tournament team versus Florida, who is not a tournament team. Any chance Florida pulls out the win there?
Without Castleton, I say no. Florida does not pull that out unless Castleton is about to come back. I think Mississippi State wins that game. They've been defending crazy. Their defense is just phenomenal. And without an inside presence to balance out the rest of the floor for Florida, I don't think they get past that Mississippi State matchup. I could be surprised. I heard they've got a pretty good head coach as well, Florida. You know what I'm saying, from the Bruce Pearl tree. So I'm not going to put it past them, but I think that 8-9 matchup is going to be really competitive.
Okay, all right. So that will put Mississippi State versus Alabama, who automatically makes it to the quarterfinals. Now, this is one of the best shooting teams in the conference. They shot their way to a quarterfinal automatic berth, they're possibly facing a Mississippi State team that is somewhat dangerous. On the bottom here, we're just going to say South Carolina is not going to beat Tennessee. Right. I think that even without Ziegler, Tennessee still looks formidable.
Yeah, they're still a good team.
Yeah, I mean, if Vescovi is not going to be guarded by Zep Jasper this whole SEC tournament, then I still like Tennessee to advance versus Missouri. Now, Missouri is an interesting matchup. This is one of those teams that Ike and I have talked about a lot, being a lot better than people are giving them credit for. They are also a tournament team. So let's go down our quarterfinal bracket right now. Right now, you and I would have Mississippi State versus Alabama, right? We would have Tennessee, Missouri. We would have Auburn, A&M, and we would have Vandy and Kentucky.
Yes.
All projected to be tournament teams as of right now. So that's 8 tournament teams right now.
Right.
What chance does Missouri have against Tennessee? Is there any way they advance to the semis?
If I'm not mistaken,
this is a good matchup for them.
I do think it's a good matchup, but I also think, again, Tennessee lost their last game to Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm about to double and triple check that right now because I want to be accurate. And if they did, then to me that says, nah, man. Tennessee is too good a defensive team. Now they have trouble scoring, and Missouri scores in bunches. But what you will see again, and this is, it's not scientific, and I know people are like, well, how do you know there's no revenge man for these kids? It is huge. I think their last matchup. Yeah, they lost to Missouri by one point.
Yeah,
at home.
That was an epic game, was it not? I think it was a buzzer beater in that one.
Yeah, I don't like that for Missouri. They can be defended. And I think you saw how we overwhelmed Missouri at home. We were at home, granted, but we really needed that game. That was an emotional game for us. The X's and O's kind of take care of themselves at this point in the season. Listen, these kids have been running the system. They've been running the plays. They know their role in the defensive scheme and how to, whatever the coach is asking you to do, they know it by now. Like now it's habitual. They know what to do. the thing that puts them over the top is, well, how well can you shoot? It's the focus that you come to the game with now.
Right.
Now it's, well, you rotated a little slow on that one. Now they're not rotating slow. They remember the last time they got embarrassed. They remember that dude that went off for 25 against them or whatever it was. He hit 5 out of 8 threes. They are laser focused when it comes to these types of things. So Tennessee losing that game to Missouri, I think, would be what Tennessee needs to get past Missouri in the quarterfinals. I think Tennessee would win that game.
This is where a lot of people would have Auburn's dreams ending in this tournament against Texas A&M. They have not played well. Buzz Williams has had Bruce Pearl's number. But because we are boogieing today, let's just say for shits and giggles, Auburn makes it past Texas A&M to the semis. And then you got Vanderbilt, Kentucky, which, again, realistically, any realistic person is going to pick Kentucky, although I would not be surprised to see an upset there. So that gives you, in any combination, let's say it doesn't happen the way that we're saying right now, you've got a pretty compelling tournament to me that looks wide open. I could see Texas A&M taking this whole thing.
I could see Texas A&M winning it. I could see Kentucky winning it. I could not see Tennessee or Missouri winning it. I just couldn't. Tennessee has too little scoring when it matters, especially without their point guard. I think they had a chance to elevate, but without their point guard, they lost too much structure in their offense to make it and win this tournament. I don't think Missouri does it because they don't defend well enough. Alabama, man, they are essentially the same Alabama team that we've seen the last couple of years. We're going to just score our way out of trouble and play hard, but now they've got better players doing it. That's the only difference, which to me settles. If there was ever any debate of whether Nate Oates is an elite coach, are you going to be the same team with just better pieces? Then I don't know. You're not making the team better. You just go and get some kids to run the system better, and that doesn't make you a great coach. That makes the players great. But I don't. They can lose. They could lose to Mississippi State. If Mississippi State wins that 8-9 matchup with Florida, I think Alabama could lose to Mississippi State. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing nothing because I don't have to, but yeah, I could definitely see that happening. But Missouri doesn't beat Alabama because Missouri doesn't defend well enough. That's the problem with Missouri. So now, not Missouri, because if we're talking Tennessee, Alabama-Tennessee matchup in the semis, that would be entertaining.
It would be entertaining.
That would be entertaining.
Listen, no matter, I mean, at the end of the day, Alabama is the number 1 seed, but we all know here at the War Report that the true number 1 seed is the Rogue Shop.
There we go. There we go. He's back. He's back.
Use code report to get that 15% off your order at the Rogue Shop. Be a number 1 seed. You'll be a number 1 seed in our hearts by ordering from the Rogue Shop. They got stuff for stress, sleep, anxiety, pain, anything life's got going on for you. The Rogue Shop has the cure, or at least something that'll help you get by. So visit the Rogue Shop and check out those candles, man. I keep trying to tell y'all, I'm waiting for the candle testimony from the Rogue Shop here pretty soon from the community. Also, if you want to be a number 1 seed, be a number 1 patron. $5.99 will get you there, help grow our community. We just recently hit 10,000 subscribers, Will. Now we need 10,000 patrons. So 10,000 patrons would make our decade and help us out quite a bit. So if you could help us there by signing up or by giving the gift of the War Report as well, gifted memberships help us get there, but also help other people experience what it's like to be part of the Green Name Gang in the chat. So they don't have a green name and you watch your email because these are selected at random. We have no control over who these gifted memberships go to, nor does the person who's buying them. So check that Green Name Gang and join our community in this way. Just before we get to the comments, let's go back to the bracket here one more time.
All right.
And just kind of let's visualize the end of this thing.
Okay.
Right. Realistically, I think Auburn could pull something crazy and win it all. However, I also think they could be out in the first round versus Arkansas. That's just this team. That's the dichotomy of this team this year. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They could do it all or they could do nothing.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, this final game is it the obvious? Is it Alabama versus Kentucky or Texas A&M? Or is there any chance at least one of those teams doesn't make it or none of them make it? to the final?
I mean, I think Kentucky's making it. Just they're in rhythm. The one thing I will say for Calipari is it's not that he's the worst coach ever. I think Tony Barbie is the worst coach ever. Calipari is if I find the right pieces and we keep at this thing long enough, it's gonna click. And his talent will just take over. Like they made the run, I think it was with Julius Randle and was it Karl Anthony Towns that year where they made it to the final against UConn in the tourney, but they lost. Like they were middle of the pack most of the season, and then it just started to click. And that's kind of what Calipari does. He's rarely ever going to come out with high expectations and just blow everybody away.
Right.
But his talent, if he gets the best talent, like he bunch of NBA players all the time. So yes, he has the ability to do it. I think they're in that mode, that zone right now. She weighs dominating boards, outside shooters are doing their thing. Their point guard's pretty good too. When you have it going like this, and once you have it going towards the end of the season in a fashion where everybody's seen you and everybody kind of had your number early, and those tough losses started taking their toll, and the kids kind of rallied, took it seriously, and that's what got them focused. Like that's something that he's talked about. Like when kids lose, it's easier to get them back focused. Right. They did some losing, so that talent has now every reason to focus, and that's dangerous. That's dangerous in the tournament, man. They know that they're playing for kind of themselves more than seeding. They know they're in the tournament, so now it's just how dangerous can we be? Right. And I think if you were to reseed this based on how they've been playing the last month, Kentucky would be a number 1. Texas A&M would be a number 2. Number 3 would probably be a Vanderbilt, and Bama would be a number 4. Like if we're being serious about the seeding here. But unfortunately for Bama, their side of the bracket is much easier because I would not want to play Arkansas, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, or Texas A&M like that.
Yeah, just a complete nightmare.
Whew, that side of the bracket is hell. But Alabama can make it to a final just because their side of the bracket is weak. Tennessee would be the toughest game that they had, assuming that Tennessee beats Missouri. And I think that's probably that's a toss-up right now. But I think there are 3 teams on the other side of the bracket that could beat Alabama. They're just not going to have to run into them.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, not a lot of weak spots in this. There are not a lot of weak spots in this tournament. But we know from experience that the most talent is in our chat, which is where we're about to go right now. So I want to start with hot dog water. I just don't want us to get booty blasted in the first round. Yeah. Yes, no booty blasting would be a great thing for Auburn. Now, I don't think that it will affect. There's a question later that we'll get to, but yeah, I think it's a strong possibility they get at least one game in this tournament. Last year, they got bounced right away. Texas A&M made a deep run. They can improve. They can still improve their tournament seeding here. So. I don't like the SEC tournament to, decide whether you make or break it. You make the tourney unless you win it. But I do like it to improve your tournament chances, especially in what I feel like is a strong year in the SEC.
Right.
Corey Weber says, I'm in training the next 3 days. Wanted to pop in and say hi, fam. War Eagle. Hi, Corey.
What up, Corey Dub?
Corey Weber. James Barnett, I'm booking with UB Will. They winning the SEC championship. Bank it. He didn't say that.
Hey, Mike G's booking hard to me. I say our ceiling was the semis. Our ceiling was the semis.
Yeah, you booking with me today. Lee Ann says, I think we win 2 unless someone else beats Kentucky first. I just want every part of my soul and spirit and mind and body wants Kentucky to get upset in this thing.
I'm sure.
So we can make tie jokes for at least a few days. Matt Reeves, it depends on how the games are officiated. They let us be physical. We can win a couple. If they call it tight, we are one and done. Listen, Matt, you flown from the survival scrolls here. Listen, I think this is true. I think that there was a calculated madness. And I think there was measure to Bruce Pearl finally saying, you know what? F it. I'm going to take the fine. I'm calling out the refs. This is getting ridiculous.
You know what, though? So if they let us play physical, Arkansas is just as physical a defense. That's why Arkansas scares me, because we are very similar to Arkansas.
Okay.
We shot better here recently. All right, we have shot better, and I know we lost like 3 out of 4. So everybody's like, "Oh man, it's terrible." No, I made this point on the weekend tailgate a couple days ago. We have been shooting better here down the stretch. Arkansas defends very well, and they usually shoot poorly. We are similar, and that's why a physical game doesn't necessarily benefit us. We would have to shoot better than we have shot on average this season. We've been doing that the last month. If we continue our shooting percentages from not the last 2 weeks, let's say from the last 2 weeks, we can beat Arkansas. But we'll have to see how that works out.
Yeah, it's tournament time. It's time to suspend all those refs that made poor calls during the season. They can't be here. They can't be out here in Nashville, be just messing up dreams with the type of calls that we saw during the season. It just would be such a disservice to the fans and to the players who have busted tail, and the fans who spend a lot of money to go watch this and support their team. Bus 358. Do you think we could potentially improve our NCAA seeding with a good performance in the SEC tourney? This is a comment I was talking about. The answer, quite simply, Bus, is yes, they can. If they won it all, right? I think it could be as high as a 6 seed. But right now, they're probably going to be a lower seed, 10, 11, somewhere around there. That's where they project. Stephen Bradley sitting here at the eye doctor. That's great because you're going to be able to see Auburn clearly make it deep in this tournament, right? So we're happy you're getting those eyes fixed so you don't miss 1 second of this deep run Auburn is going to go on in this tournament. G.I. Magus, I want Vandy not because I don't want Kentucky. We owe them both Vandy, but Vandy needs to get that get back.
Yeah.
Right, listen.
He's right. Yeah, Ike is right. He's saying we want that Vandy game again. Yeah.
It's personal for him. I mean, they put him in the nosebleeds of their stadium to cover a game. So he wants to get back for their poorly designed arena. I agree, Ike. Get back is definitely warranted. Leanne says, I sat next to Dylan's mom at the Tennessee game, and she said she thought he would play.
So maybe he's good to go?
They didn't indicate that it was like a season-ending injury, and he was very, very active on the sidelines.
He was. I saw that. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly nursing. He was out there holding people back and being Dylan. So I don't know how much that means for sure, but I think it's a positive sign for sure. Jonathan Boyson, it all depends on our shooting, how far we go. Very simple, but true statement. They've got to shoot better, and I think if they shot like they shot against Tennessee, they can beat anybody. Right?
Sure.
8 of 14 Wendell Green, I'll take. All day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Jonathan Boyson, I think we make it to the semifinals and lose to Kentucky. Wait, time out. Let's take a look at this bracket one more time.
We're saying we beat Arkansas and A&M.
Okay.
Beat Kentucky in the
semis. Okay. Yeah. All right. I see it, Jonathan. Yeah, possibly. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how far Auburn can go in this thing. They've got definitely some work to do. P-Pass, we are A&M in the SEC this year. When we lose in the SEC championship to whoever knocks off Tennessee and Alabama, there's a part of me that doesn't want this. There's a part of me that doesn't want to see Auburn almost to do something again.
Right.
So if they're going to get there, they might as well win it. I mean, what team are they going to face that's not Kentucky, which they could not see in the finals, right?
Right.
That, you don't believe they could beat based on the results and the way the games have played out this year.
Right.
I have a hard time believing Nate Oates was saving some coaching for the end of the season, right? Like,
no.
Yeah, I think blew his load already, man. I think it's more likely
find some different ways to say what you just said.
Saving some coaching.
No, what you said after that. You think he blew what? Okay, all right.
Whatever.
Pause. Double pause.
I think it's more likely that they're out of gas than anything be here at the end, because it is difficult. Sustained success is difficult, man. It's runs, and if you can go on runs early, we see it with Gonzaga every year.
Yeah,
best regular season team in the history of college basketball.
Yeah, but their regular season
past the Sweet 16
is a cakewalk. Their regular season is a cakewalk. That's why they have so much trouble. I mean, they made it to the final that one year. They did fine, but that regular season for them, the West Coast Conference is nothing. compared to what we go through here in the SEC now. So, yeah.
Brandon Miller is not unstoppable.
He's not. He can be contained.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we did it. Auburn did it.
Twice.
And they sent him to the free throw line 11 times, which is the only reason that he had a decent game. But, you know, to the chat's point about the officiating, if they call it right, he doesn't go to the free throw line 11 times. They let us be a little physical, and they call that evenly. So if you're going to call fouls, call them on everybody.
Right.
You know, and that's how I feel, you know, Auburn has a chance. So he's just not unstoppable, right? But you know who is unstoppable? Us.
Who's that?
Here at the War Report, because of the Rogue Shop, right?
Nah, you switched it up on me. See, I thought you was gonna say the Rogue Shop was unstoppable. All right, I'm with it. Okay.
RogueShop.com. Use code Report to get 15% off that next order at the Rogue Shop. Longtime sponsors of the War Report, so we appreciate them supporting us. Our guy Richard, appreciate you, buddy. Listen, you can also be an unstoppable patron. So $5.99 will get you there. Help us reach 10,000 patrons, guys. These numbers aren't public, but we promise we'll tell you that we hit 10,000 patrons. I promise. That's not something we will keep from you. You can also help us get there by gifting a membership. Gifted memberships are a great way to help grow and support our community, so we appreciate everybody who does that. Guys, how far can Auburn go in the tournament? We dropped our thoughts on you. Drop your thoughts on us in the comments, and we'll be back at you guys tomorrow with another morning drop. Until then, War Eagle.